The best of the morning X.
Kleenexes, please.
Yeah. So went to my best friend's wedding last week. This was
a movie, My Best Friend's Wedding.
This was the best friend who at first was going to have, this was my friend Bob, who was going to have the wedding with just his friends in L.A., and because they didn't want people to drive in for it or fly in for it. And I said, wait a minute now. Well, you tell me I can't come to your wedding just because I live in Atlanta? And he and his fiance got together, and they decided instead of doing that, they were going to elope. You eloped.
Yes, we did.
Didn't you?
Yeah, it was great.
Why did you elope?
I had all these friends that were asking me not to get married on a certain weekend, like, don't do it this weekend. That's the Auburn-Alabama game. Don't do it this weekend. And I was so stressed out about trying to please everybody else that I realized that, it was just all about my family and me and Lanny.
Now, was your family there? Or no, your family wasn't even there.
My sister came in. My mother was the one that said, go elope. Just do it.
I have really no interest in having a big wedding. And quite frankly, if it were up to me,
Do you have an interest in having a wedding at all?
Sure,
okay.
But not.
You do want to get married.
Yeah, but I don't really have an interest in having a big wedding. Unfortunately, because I am controlled by so many other people, I probably will. That's just the bottom line. I will have no say in it. Because it really, when you get
it's
down
not
to
your
it,
say, it's the woman's.
And really, it's not even that. It's usually her mom. I mean, isn't it really more about
her and her mom?
No, I think a lot of women dream of having a big wedding.
Sure, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of 50% the woman, and then the other 50% the mom of the woman, because it's a big show. It's a dog and pony show.
Families like to give their kids nice weddings.
Yeah, it's a big show. Anyway, so we went out to L.A. So Bob and his fiance to say, you know what, we're eloping, and they invited her best friend and me, his best friend, to go up. It's funny how I went from not being invited to the wedding to being the only one invited to the wedding. Funny how that changed. So we drove up to Santa Barbara, and Santa Barbara, if you've never been there, is just a gorgeous town north of L.A. About 2
Beautiful
hours.
Town.
You drove through
Mellow.
there. Yeah.
I stayed there.
Where'd you stay? Do you remember?
Four Seasons.
Oh, the Four Seasons. All right. They have a new place up there called the Baccara, which is like a full 5-star resort.
They're all
right
nice.
Yeah.
No air conditioning because you don't need it. I mean, it's that nice.
It's just gorgeous. And it's a college town, but, it's become it's geared for tourists, too. So we went up there and had a nice dinner on the Friday night, before the wedding. He was going to get married at the Santa Barbara Courthouse, which is this old historic building. Let me get my panel here.
Yeah, we have Tammy, Margaret, Ashley, Jody, and Maria.
Hi, girls.
Hi, girls.
Hi.
You guys all love a good love story, right?
Yes.
Okay, you'll cry at the drop of a hat, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the wedding was at the Santa Barbara Courthouse, which is this beautiful, historic building up right on the coast. It's one of these deals where you rent out the courtroom on Saturday because obviously they're closed, and they get a justice of the peace, and who, oddly enough, this justice of the peace was the former mayor and was an ordained minister from the Universal Life Church, which is the church that I'm ordained through. So, this person really wasn't any more qualified to marry them than I was, but... And then afterwards, you go up on the bell tower and take pictures, and it's very romantic. And like I said, it was for me, if I got married that way, it would be perfect. Anyway, the night before the wedding, so Friday night, we go out to dinner, and we come back to our rooms, and his wife, Liz, she's staying with her best friend, and I'm staying with Bob in a separate room. Mm-hmm. And we get back to the room, and there's a box on the bed, a big box, and it's addressed to Bob. And he opens it up, and there is a big scrapbook inside. Now, understand that they've been dating for 3.5 years, okay? This big scrapbook inside, it's about 8 or 9 inches thick, about 1.5 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
Phone book.
Yeah, it's really big. And it's with parchment pages. Gorgeous, gorgeous book. Opens it up, and it is filled with little mementos of their relationship that she had been saving since the day they first went out, starting with, on the first page, they had been fixed up in Palm Springs. A friend of theirs had a weekend with a bunch of friends in Palm Springs that had invited both of them out, so that they could meet each other. And she had written down the directions to the house in Palm Springs for her girlfriend, to get there. And the first page in the scrapbook is that paper with the handwritten directions to the house in Palm Springs where they would eventually meet. And things like the aluminum wrapper from the first bottle of champagne they had from their first Valentine's Day.
Wow.
Man, she had the foresight to save all that
unbelievable.
stuff.
Things like the program from the first play they ever went to. Stuff like pamphlets from hotels that they've gone to. She saved every card he ever sent her.
Wow.
Was in this scrapbook. And as you get to the back of the scrapbook, and I mean pictures and...
Chick's organized.
Things like this Halloween costume from like 2.5 years ago. She saved like a piece of the costume and put it in this scrapbook, along with a picture of the two of them on that Halloween. And as you get to the back of the book, there's a page that says, a petal from every bouquet. And the next 5 pages are little dried flowers.
Oh, my.
From every bouquet of flowers that he had ever sent her.
God.
And then after that, there's another page that says, a ribbon from every bow. And there are like 5 or 6 pages of like multicolored ribbons from every present he had ever given her.
I wonder if she did this with like every man until it was the right one and then just like throw away all the stuff.
Well, I said...
I mean, how do you know?
That gives me chills.
How do you know that he's the one and that you should start saving now?
I said to him, Bob, this woman is either the most amazingly insightful, romantic woman in the world or the biggest pack rat in the world. And so we're going through this book, and as the pages are being flipped, Bob, all he can say is like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, it's like he couldn't say. And as he's going through this, I'm like starting to
cry.
I'm starting to choke up.
Of course.
I'm like getting really choked up here.
Jimmy.
And I mean, it was like amazing that this woman had saved all this, stuff that at the time was so insignificant, but now in this scrapbook was amazing. And, what am I going to do? Like sit there, I'm getting choked up, but me, I get choked up at the drop of a hat. Now, Bob is more... He's not quite at your end of the scale, Barnes, but he's like he's not a real emotional guy.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't, he doesn't show emotions too much. So as we're going through this book, and I'm looking at him reading this book, and I can't really see his eyes, but as he gets to the part where the petals from every flower, I can start seeing like this kind of like this vein in his temple is starting to like kind of pop out a little bit, and he gets to the page with all the ribbons, and his glasses are like totally fogged up, and he closes the book. And then, as if on cue, the two of us, 2 40-year-old men in a hotel room, are sitting on the bed and crying hysterically.
That's a beautiful story, though. I mean, it really is.
The two of us are sitting there.
No, that is a beautiful story.
Now, ladies, who there is?
That is awesome.
Who there got choked up?
Chills.
Did you hug?
That gave me chills. That is the sweetest story I think I have ever heard.
That's amazing.
It was
amazing.
Unbelievable.
Did you hug?
I think I like, I like put a, how you put your arm around a buddy, like, hey,
He's a lucky guy.
Like that. And he even said at the time, he said, it's amazing because we've been dating for 3.5 years and we're getting, married, yet this one book has somehow like elevated everything.
Of course.
Like all his feelings about, imagine how you feel the night before your wedding. Well, there's terror. And then there's, but you have this love.
That is a beautiful story.
And he said that the feeling for her in that one moment, like went from a 10 to a 20.
That's a great story.
I've told that story. Everybody I've told this story. He had rented a room. We drove back down to L.A. that night. And he rented a suite at the Bel Air Hotel. By the way, we rented a suite called the Crow's Nest, which is called such because it's where Russell Crowe stays when he goes to the Bel Air Hotel.
Finding his little women.
And it's like 6 rooms, like 1,600 square feet. And the book was in the bedroom. And one by one, the girls who were coming to this party would go into the room to look at the scrapbook, and they'd come out 5 minutes later. The mascara was running.
That's a beautiful story.
Didn't get you, Crash? No.
I was waiting for you to say the next 100 pages were filled with a condom from every encounter or something.
I mean, even Barnes
No, that's a nice
could
story.
appreciate.
That's a nice story.
That's
Barnes
a little
could tell,
artistry.
appreciate the artistry of it.
The way
No.
you were going, I thought at the end he was going to flip the last page and it was another guy or something. I thought you were leading to some
No.
No, it was a real deal.
All right.
Crash?
Psycho.
Nothing?
Nothing. No, I mean, I think it's great. I save cards that Lady Crash gives me and whatnot, but not a telephone book. You know, the
That's
pedal,
sweet, though.
the grass that you
wait,
walked
time out.
on.
Hang on a minute. Of course you don't, and I don't, because we're guys. We don't do that. But if, like, in 2 years, all of a sudden Lady Crash had given you this book with, like, how about the label from every Bud bottle?
Yeah, every Bud
All
cap
right, now
kicked off.
I have
Okay,
saved,
there you go.
No, I've saved every card Lanny has ever given me. And when, flowers, like notes, I have them all in a box.
And when you're not
And
expecting
you go back through and you look at it.
because he knows you have that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're not expecting it, if all of a sudden he presented you with his book from, like, the last 10 years of relationship with...
Yeah, I'd be blown away.
I mean, man, we were just sitting there crying.
The best of the Morning X. 99X.
YouTube personality Benny Johnson has cracked the code on a new era of newsmaking.
Very controversial, very strong opinions. A person who speaks truth fearlessly, breaking for nobody.
It's a new cultural landscape.
We're not trying to politicize this. People are primed now, and forgive me, dude, it is what it is. Here's what's going on in your country, bro.
The Benny Show.
Get ready if this is something that you needed to put a little pep in your step. No? Yeah? Okay.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.